This is Ewheels, and E is the letter today behind the charge flap here. We've just unplugged, ready for our drive. Type 2 Maneca's top DC fast charging bottom behind these bungs. Pop them in, close the flap, and that E tells everyone who sees you, this is your electric version of the Mini. Originally created in 1959, that styling has remained so similar through to the present day. Of course, since 2001, BMW owned, but that shape, flat roof, the two-tone styling as well, those clean body lines along the hips of the car as well, the sides of the car is unmistakably Mini. And whilst we've had other versions, convertibles and Countrymans over the years, that is brilliant. These details of the yellow accenting on the wheels and the aero wheels and the wing mirrors as well tells everyone it's an EV. Where's the battery? As down low as possible in this car. The Mini Electric 3-door hatch entering a competitive segment. They've put the batteries in where they can. Of course, this isn't a purely designed EV from the ground up. Taking a look at it from this front corner angle here, those unmistakable Mini designs from the regular combustion version, those headlights and the front bonnet with the air intake. But what about the grille here? Well, what grille? It's closed off because you don't have to suck air in to combust. So much more aerodynamic. There is still some airflow beneath that grille. EV batteries do need cooling. That air flows underneath the car where the batteries are. How big is the battery on this? Well, 32 kilowatt hour battery gross, but less than 30 kilowatt hours usable. 181 brake horsepower, 217 newton meters of torque. Let's have a look at the back. Here down the rear of the car, again more unmistakable Mini angles. That flat rear with the hatch boot opening makes it a little more practical, but equally it's in the same category for us as the Honda E and the Fiat 500e. So not a great deal of storage in the back of this. In the boot, you can see the nice little design tweaks on the rear lights with the Union Jack emblem there, and the yellow accenting for the E, and the S on Cooper S once again is yellow to tell everybody this is electric. 3.8 meters long, 1.9 meters wide. Exhausts? No, obviously not. This is electric. We're going to take this for a drive today and see what it's like with 4 different drive modes. But first, let's do our usual rear passenger test on this 3-door hatch and see what it's like to get inside of the Mini E. So the first thing we do, as always, is have a look inside, and the first impression is this front door opens up so wide, a big space for passengers to get into the rear of the vehicle. A lovely wide space here. The front driver's seat lifts up, tilts up and forward to get in. Nice detailing down here with the Mini Cooper S in yellow. This little plate down here. Nice attention to detail. Lots of little details in the Mini that I think you will like. Now let's get in. I'm not particularly tall, but the height of this entrance is an issue for adults and taller people getting into the back of the car. I'm just under 6 foot or 180 centimeters, and it's a bit of a squeeze to get in the back of the car. But pulling the driver's seat back, you know, when you're in, it's okay. Enough room for 2 adults in the back here for occasional journeys. Not the most space, but it's okay. Boot space on this, 211 litres. It's a 2+2. You're going to have the adults up front, probably the kids in the back, I imagine. But look, for occasional journeys, my knee space here is okay. And if I just pop my hand above my head to work out how much headroom I've got, actually, because of that high roof line, about 4 fingers worth. I'm not feeling claustrophobic in the back of the car at all. And it's a nice place to be, but definitely only for 4 people. No 5th passenger. That centre console there is all full of batteries stuffed underneath. So really, no 5th person in the back. When you are in the back, these fabrics, these materials, the choice is more premium. Nice detailing. It does put you in that same league as the Honda E and the Fiat 500 in terms of more stylish, more premium. The rear passengers, again, the kids are probably going to be the people using the backmost Isofix car seats. Attachment points there. Nice sound system in the Mini. You'll be pleased to hear front or back Harman Kardon sound system. Sounds fantastic in the Mini. But really the back isn't for adults at all. Up front you can see nice big display. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto is coming, and let's take it for a drive. So So here we go, our test drive portion of our Ewheels test on the Mini. Nice physical buttons down here, which is reflected on the all-digital display there on the dash, and 4 modes to choose from. You can pick from these buttons down here. The 4 different driving modes are Green Plus, Green, Mid and Sport. So we're in Green Plus right now, and the steering sensitivity on this roundabout, on this bend, doesn't really change with Green Plus. In Green Plus mode, the most efficient way of driving around, there is really no acceleration on the pedal. You've really got to push it very hard. The air conditioning is limited as well, so it's all about getting the most amount of electrons. See, I'm doing 50 kilometers here. The display above it is your distance, and that's very small. We don't like that about the display. Some of these numbers are very small. But really, we need to shift into green mode to have any kind of responsiveness from the accelerator pedal. And that does take a little bit of getting used to. If you find yourself in the wrong mode, you put your foot down and don't really go anywhere. But the power coming from this 32 kilowatt hour battery, which is gross usable, is in the late 20s. Not the biggest battery, but for a car like this, look, we're driving it on city streets right now in an urban environment, and this is where this car feels very at home. 181 brake horsepower, 270 newton meters of torque. On the display here, the digital dash, lots of readouts in terms of the electric performance of this car, but still in green mode. Here I'm pushing my right foot down and not getting a great deal of responsiveness. So let's move into mid mode. The dash turns orange, as you can see, and all of a sudden this car comes alive. Steering, once again, doesn't really change depending on what mode you are in, but now we are driving in mid mode. Yeah, a lot more punch. This feels better completely on these kind of roads, just weaving between the traffic here, as you can see. It feels very much at home, go-kart like, and with all that battery weight down low, a great driving pleasure when you start to get a bit more response from the accelerator. Heads-up display in front of us, as you can see. Now really the top speed of this car, 93 miles an hour, is never going to be fully utilized. It's not meant for the autobahn and long journeys, but for roads like this, as we're driving around urban streets, and the ride is good for a Mini. Now I think over the years Mini have softened up the suspension, so riding over the bumps and here in sport mode now, it is still softer than you might imagine, but now we're in sport mode. It's the accelerator response which is very different. Let's accelerate out of the roundabout here and put our foot down, and all of a sudden every twitch of the accelerator is recognized by the car. So this sport mode is much more fun to drive in. Whether you'll be using it a lot or whether you want to drive in modes that preserve the battery is really up to your personal driving style. Steering, still though, very responsive. It's the accelerator response which is really governed by these different modes. So you can see down here when you are regenning these physical buttons, you can change how much regen you have in the car. There's 2 regen modes. Now in the lower mode, you still feel a good amount of regen, but you'll be finding yourself using the brake pedal a little bit. If you are used to one pedal driving, the higher level of regen does get closer in this to full one pedal driving, and that will be much more useful for those drivers that want to get the most range out of their car. 145 miles on the WLTP test cycle this one's officially rated at, and so as we're driving around these kind of roads in the higher regen, it is much more of a one pedal driving style. So we're in sport mode, we're doing 60 kilometers an hour here, which we accelerated up to pretty quickly on these kind of roads. And as we approach a roundabout or a junction, if we let off the accelerator, that slowing down is quick. 50, 40, 30, 20, down into the 10s, and yeah, that's one pedal driving, or as good as. And now lots of EV drivers like this sensation of only using your right foot and modulating the car's speed here with your right leg and not having to use the brake pedal as well. So very strong regen in this, which of course is a great way to drive as efficiently as possible. We like this car a lot driving around these kind of roads. It's a lot of fun, it's nippy, it's fun, and we're enjoying our test drive today. So what do we like? We like the performance, the driving pleasure, the iconic design. What don't we like? Not as much space on board, small boot, and for rear passengers, really for kids and small adults, and not too much self-driving autonomy features in this car. But otherwise, for us, this is a big thumbs up for the Mini Electric, and we hope you enjoyed our review. We'll see you on the next one.